And we're back. I'm Kimberly Dimon, and you're watching The Human Factor on Now Media Television. Let's dive back into today's conversation. Welcome back. So now we've moved on to an inspiring entrepreneur who knows firsthand what it means to turn financial chaos into clarity. Olga Hurtado is the founder of NeatBooks, a firm she built from $12,000 solo venture into over $1 million plus success. With her MBA business analytics, profit first expertise, and proven strategies, she's helped countless entrepreneurs organize their finances and gain control of their businesses. So thanks so much for joining us today, Olga. Welcome to the show. So I would like to start out with the fact that leaders struggle with messy, disorganized books, and I'm probably one of them.
You're
know
not
when
the
they're
only one.
and it eats up their time and causes unnecessary stress. So how when finances are unclear, decisions become harder. You get sidetracked, uncertainty. What does poor bookkeeping cost? Why does it cost so much stress and wasted time for leaders?
Well, Kimberly, thank you for having me. And to be honest, leaders often see the bookkeeping as a second priority. Like they focus on sales, on operations, on growth, but they avoid looking at their financial results, which, basically they try to hide from the monster. And sometimes they look at their financials as, oh, I'm so scared about this monster. So they try to save money by doing it themselves, or they
Mm-hmm.
just use AI because now, AI is very popular and they are just relying on AI to handle everything. But soon they realize that they don't have the time, they don't have the expertise, and even worse, they understand that the mistakes they made, the mistakes have piled up. So at that point, all those savings that they were, doing with their business, it turns into stress, wasted hours, expensive fixes. So to me, this is more like I'm gonna save money on this, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be more costly and more expensive for every single business owner.
That brings me to that. You mentioned the AI. So people are actually using that to streamline their books and things like that. I mean, I use it to a certain degree, but I certainly don't use it for that. So,
Well, yeah, but listen, AI is a lot of things. People think AI is only ChatGPT, but
right.
right
No, it's not.
now, no,
Yeah.
it's not. And
Right.
QuickBooks is actually using a lot of AI, even though it's not perfect. They're starting to implementing it. So business owners are now like thinking that the AI is gonna fix that part of their processes in their bookkeeping, which is not ready yet. I would say that it's going to happen, but it's not happening right now because bookkeeping, it's like it's like a world, okay? You have a
Mhm.
type of business, I have a different type of business. And the bookkeeping, it might sound similar, but it's different in the judgment of the accountant that is preparing both sets of books. So AI in that part is not ready yet, but the
Okay.
business owners think it is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, I don't think I would tempt that right now, and I'm very small, so but the bookkeeping for me, at least it is easy and streamlined, but it's still, I don't necessarily keep up with it as often as I should. So it can take some time away from me. Well, can you share an example of how, cleaning up financial records has changed the way the leader was able to manage their business?
Well, let me tell you a story. We had a client and she accidentally found us. Like she thought NeatBooks was a bookstore. She came to our office and she was like, I need to sell some books, you know? And then it was so hilarious. And then she found out that we were a bookkeeping and accounting firm. And then out of curiosity, she started like asking questions about, oh, and how can I do this? How, can I do this to grow my business? And we were like, yes, you can. We can help you with that. And we started like reviewing all her books and doing all the fixings that she needed to do. And for the first time, she understood her numbers, not for the tax filing, because remember, most business owners prepare their books for taxes. Okay,
Yes.
they
Yes.
don't prepare their books for decision making. So
Right.
she was actually using those financials to proactively guide her business, and she was not being reactive, which is most of the business owners do that throughout the year. Like they react to the tax, to the tax liability. Oh, why am I owing so much in taxes? So
Right.
together we aligned her finances with her goal, because she had, this big goal for her business, but she wasn't going to be able to implement it if she just keeps reacting to her financials at the end of the year. So right now,
Mm,
she's one of our strongest advocates. Like she is a living proof that making the right decisions throughout the year helps you increase your cash flow, making better decisions for growth, acquiring assets so you can, save money on taxes. And that story proves that when leaders clean up their books and have their financial records on a timely manner, let's say monthly, they shift their perspective. They shift from reactive to strategic right away. And that's something that it
right.
happens not only to her, like, I've seen it a lot in our clients, like they understand their finances, and that's when they start making like strategic decisions.
Yeah, I agree. It, yes, for me it's a little bit simpler, so I'm very fortunate, but I know it can be very complex. My family has owned businesses, restaurants to be specific in the past, so been
Yeah.
engaged in a lot of that. So yes, there is some complexity. Well, how can a leader delegate financial tasks without losing the visibility of the control?
Well, to me, it's a structure. Okay. You use tools that create workflows, dashboards, and segregation of duties. I am a fan of internal controls. Okay. Whatever your business stage is, if you are a small business just starting your business, you need to start working on your segregation of duties because you're thinking about growth. And let's
Right.
say, for example, on the restaurant business, restaurant owners, they often make the mistake of letting one person both do the closing of the day, the reconciliation of the day, then that same person goes to the bank the next day and deposit the cash. Oh my God, everything in just one person. How can you control that? Like you need to have at least another person who has that visibility, that control, because that's very risky. So you need to design processes that you have at least two people involved in the check and balances. And then you can create like some sort of like dashboards, very simple, nothing complex, because delegation works when you have that visibility as well.
Right. Yes. And unfortunately, my parents owned their own business, so they were the ones responsible for all of those things. As much as
But
they
that's
didn't
good.
want to be, they had to be based on, yeah. So, what advice would you give leaders who feel embarrassed about their messy books and don't know where to start?
Listen, don't feel embarrassed, okay? You're not going to be the first and you're not going to be the last, that's for sure. But I think the most important thing is to act. Like you need to hire a professional bookkeeper or a part-time accountant because that's an investment for your business. Some people
Hmm.
look at it as an expense, like, oh, if the accountants are very expensive, the bookkeepers are very expensive. But from my experience, fixing messy books later, it's always more costly than doing them right since day one.
That would make absolute sense. Are there any specific tools you would recommend that they look to utilize? I mean, obviously your services would be great, but there's other systems that they might, think about implementing or having, especially for anybody who's starting a business, obviously.
Well, if you're just starting your business, I think keep it simple. Like if you have just few transactions, just start an Excel spreadsheet and have a clear separation of your personal and your business finances. I think that
Hmm.
can be enough for someone that is starting. And just, like drop into the Excel spreadsheet. Okay, this is the money I made this month, and these are the expenses. That will give you like a visibility of what you're doing right now in your business. As you grow, then you can acquire like proper accounting systems, like QuickBooks, for example. That
Right.
becomes essential for a business owner. You need to have like this type of ledgers in your day-to-day operations so you can track and have visibility of your business. But as the more you grow, there are a lot of tools that you can use for automations, like Bill.com, for example, and because it helps you automate your payables and receivables. We also use Relay Bank, which helps you automate your cash flow and gives you the option to create these cash back baskets. So it's a lot of gaining confidence by the tools that you are acquiring in the same stage that your business is growing. Like, do not start big because you're gonna get that with a lot of expenses and dues and subscriptions for that. But if you start small and you keep growing and keeping track of those finances, you're gonna do great.
One of the things that I did for myself was I just utilized credit, like a credit. I set up a credit card, right, for
Mm-hmm.
my expenses so that, and nothing personal is on there. That's all strictly business, because then, these days you can get a statement and it can break it down for you on what those items were. And that's helped me tremendously in being able to observe that each month, look at that and see where the expenditures are and keep it completely separate from my personal life. And it really
Kimberly,
helps with,
the key
you
is
know,
keep it simple. You keep it
yeah,
simple like that. You have a credit card, you do your expenses with that credit card, you keep it simple. It works for you.
right.
Like, so sometimes business owners, they get drawn into the accountant's process. Okay,
Yes,
you are the business owner, you are the one who makes decisions. So decide what type of complexity or simplicity you want for your processes, and that's it. That works for you, but probably it doesn't work for someone who has a million of transactions every month,
this
because
is
that
true,
would just
obviously. And I don't have a bunch of employees. So there's a completely different component there. It's just, from my perspective, that has helped me in keeping those expenses separate, and in not intermingling them and trying to separate them in the future. So, well, this has been good information. So we're going to be back. Up next, if messy books weren't stressful enough, unpredictable cash flow, and it can often push a leader over the edge. We all know that. We'll talk about why keeping money flowing smoothly is one of the biggest challenges in business and how to take that control back. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Olga. We'll be right back with more stories, insights, and real world strategies for leading with purpose. This is The Human Factor on Now Media Television.